Good afternoon. I am Sarah Butler with the Unilink Group, and we are delighted to have you join us today for Sun and Unilink sponsored content. As you settle in, let me introduce you to Sun. Sun is a liaison between Infor and end users. The user network is focused on improving process and procedures around Sightline, Infor Cloud Suite, and Infor Service Management. Sun provides newsletters, networking, and local groups in addition to its annual user conference for its members. That conference is right around the corner, and we at Unilink look forward to seeing you there. Today's session will be recorded and will be provided to members of Sun. Before we get started, let me share some housekeeping items. Plan for about 40 to 45 minutes of great content. We will be peppering in time for questions and answers throughout the presentation. All questions that you want answered should be dropped into the Q&A tool. So please drop on down and find that Q&A tool at the bottom of your screen. Without further ado, let me introduce you to Unilink's Tony Palermo. Tony, take it away.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank everyone for taking time out of your busy schedule to participate in this discussion about EDI. As far as your digital transformation plan is, I'm sure each company is at a different stage and has a different initiatives planned for this year. But I think we would all agree that EDI is a critical element in that plan. Digitally connecting to your trading partners, customers, and vendors, ERP to ERP is key for continued improvement and performance. We were at a conference last November where they polled all the CFOs and the IT leaders, and EDI was third in the top 5 initiatives for 2023. It was also third pre-COVID. We lost a little time there, but I think we have a lot of pent-up demand, and I think there's going to be a lot of initiatives that go into production in 2023, because it's more than just a competitive advantage. It's now becoming a requirement to compete and to support resilience. So there is a sense of urgency attached to implementing EDI. A high percentage of executives believe that their current business model will, open quotes, not cut it, close quotes, in the near years. So going into this with an attitude of I must do something will always solve more problems than something must be done. So as Sarah mentioned, I'm Tony Palermo. I have 45 years of experience in turnarounds, startups, mid-tier management changes. And the key to all of our successful ventures has been the ability to go in and to automate every single thing that could possibly be automated within the business. My job today is to inform, not sell, but I am very passionate about the subject matter. So if it comes across as a little salesy, I apologize in advance. You know, EDI is just not the mystery it was 20 plus years ago. A lot of the issues, a lot of the mystery has been solved. The evaluation process is fairly straightforward. The numbers are accurate as far as payback and ROI. It's well-defined, it's compliant, it's a perfect fit for automation. The lingering questions are always how, who, when, why, and more importantly, why not? Before we tell you the what, we'd like to talk a little bit about the who. Since I get this screen to appear, there we go. Unilink has been in the e-commerce business, specifically EDI, for over 27 years. We are a trusted EDI provider in the Infor space. We're probably 95% in the Infor space. We have high customer satisfaction is in the DNA of every single person in our company. The selection criteria that you should be thinking about does the company you're thinking about doing business with, are they fit for your ERP system? Do we have experience in your specific ERP? Are we an industry fit? is the company reliable? Do they have experience and prior successes? And do they have a well-defined, well-oiled implementation process? So when and why do you need EDI? Well, again, we talked about that sense of urgency. Systems will beat people 100% of the time. There's no question about that. Being proactive as it relates to implementing EDI is always much less painful and less expensive than being reactive. You get significant efficiency and quality. As a matter of fact, the quality improvement is about 62%. In other words, a 62% drop in error rates. An error right now costs a company approximately $53.50, 33 labor, $20 for material. It certainly improves profits and lowers cost, and we're going to delve into that shortly with the back of the envelope financial analysis. Improves inventory turns. It is a competitive advantage. And EDI is a defender of disruptions. You think about the disruptions we have experienced over the last 3 or 4 years, and another series of disruptions that are probably right around the corner. Being digitally connected to our trading partners certainly is a defender of that disruption. The other point I'd like to make too is that the next generation, the new generation, even ourselves on the old generation side, we want that Amazon experience. And I'm sure your trading partners and customers are coming to expect that smooth process, the key 4 forms being exchanged in a very timely manner. So before we get into the tactical manuals, stalled states, we have a polling question that we would like to send out. So Sarah, can you send that out? And I'll give us 30 seconds. All right. Well, about 81% have less than 50% of their transactions going through EDI. 31% are 100% manual, and only 6%, 13% are doing more than 50%. So that's a pretty standard response to a group of this size. So there's really 3 states that you're in. You could be completely in a manual mode. The second is what we call the tactical mode. It wasn't strategic. You have a handful of implementations, and you did those kicking and screaming because your trading partner or your customer basically demanded as a requirement to keep doing business with them. And then the last category is the stalled category. Took a good run at it. You have all of the infrastructure, your total cost of ownership may be higher than you would like it to be. The adoption rates have stalled, and you're hovering around that 50% mark. Some of the challenges and the obstacles to implementing EDI are the number of elements that are required to all work seamlessly together in order to provide that experience. So it all equals total cost of ownership. And you need to really know what that is so that you can determine what model is the best way to go forward. And you don't have to pick one model. You can, if you're in-house for a certain percentage of your transactions, you can then add a SaaS model to that. And whereas that SaaS company like ours comes alongside and helps complete the tasks, the rest of the opportunities. So let's talk about manual for a minute and talk about the costs. The costs of manual transactions, and let's just focus on POs, but the return on investment for the other advanced shipping notices, the PO acknowledgement, and the invoice are even slightly higher than the PO itself. So let's develop a quick model, back of the envelope, very quick. Company that's doing 5,000 POs and has 50 trading partners and customers. If you take that $12 and you extrapolate that out for the year, it's costing about $576,000 a year to process those invoices. At an 80%, I'm sorry, $720,000. At an 80% savings, because you're still going to have some cost associated with the process, that gets reduced to $578. Now, there's two elements in a SaaS model. One is your one-time cost, and that is the mapping fees and the connection to the data center. And the second is your transaction costs. If you look at the one-time cost of the maps being created and put in production, the recovery on that, based on the savings, is less than 1 full month of production. So the payback is extremely quick. And the payback analysis is based on taking that $12 and reducing the transaction cost from that. So you get a net cost savings of $11.38. So at the end of the day, on an annual basis, to the bottom line, we're talking about $530,000, $540,000 a year, just based on POs and just based on 5,000 POs. So as you can see, it's not chump change. It's a significant amount of dollars to the bottom line, and it's the gift that keeps giving, because it's a recurring savings that comes back every single month. And again, that's based on only saving 80%, keeping the 20% cost. And this is based on a Forrester and Sterling study that was done several years ago. So if you're in a tactical state, or you're around the 50% mark, you have to take a hard look at your total cost of ownership. And your total cost of ownership, probably the most difficult component of that is the people cost, because first of all, they're hard to find, and they don't come to the company or come to that department to stay for 20 or 30 years. They move on, so you're constantly in the learning curve, retraining and dealing with personnel turnover. Again, back of the envelope, if your hardware, software, and maintenance cost is, let's say, $1,000 a month, your van is $200 a month, you have one technically based FTE at $80,000 a year, one coordinator at 25% FTE, you're looking at a total cost of ownership of about $130,000 to $150,000. Well, for that kind of money, you can process a lot of transactions through a SaaS provider. So these are just two touch points economically that you would want to consider. We would be happy to talk about that model, put specific numbers in the model that are yours, and see what we come up with. But that's just a quick back of the envelope analysis. So when you outsource EDI, what you want to really look for is, what's the model look like? What's the pricing model? And as I indicated, for a good SaaS provider, a good managed service provider where 100% cloud-based is a requirement, there should be only two components. One is a one-time cost for the map, and the second is the recurring revenue, the transaction costs, which should go down significantly with volume. The second thing you want to look at, of course, is how much time does it take? from the start of project. We always recommend to start with the trading partners with the most transactions, because then you start to see immediate relief in the cost savings, as well as the time it takes for your customer service or your order entry group. So that's very, very important. The third component is service. Who manages the project, the accessibility of the service provider, who contacts the trading partner and does all that coordination. You want to make sure that you have the lowest barrier to entry for your trading partners. And in this case, your SaaS provider, i.e. us, we will do all the heavy lifting. We don't tie up your resources. We don't tie up your trading partners' resources. We are extremely proactive and have a time-tested, improved implementation process where this goes very smoothly. So those are the areas. And when talking about the price model, it should be a no-risk model. You shouldn't have to lay out a single dime until the maps are in production and until you're starting to process transactions. As you saw in the numbers earlier, the payback is very, very quick, and the recurring cost savings and quality improvements are significant. So the criteria that matters: success-based pricing. It's very easy to budget, easy to forecast, no CapEx, no additional software, defined and proven implementation process that frees up your internal resources, especially your IT resources, that can move on to other pressing projects, ongoing coordination with trading partners, and we'll talk about the portal in just a minute, and the automated and proactive exception reporting and correction, which goes hand in hand with the portal. So the company that you want to make sure you do business with has an end-to-end mentality. In the old days, we used to call that one neck to choke, and has a portal in place so that you have complete visibility of all your transactions in the format that you want to see them, sorted by the way you want to see them, and that there is proactive exception reporting and correction built into the portal. What I mean by that is you can set up any criteria. If a transaction fails, you can set up the notification process. We're certainly notified, but you can notify anyone in any manner that you would like. More often than not, we are already on it, and it's because the trading partner made a change somewhere. We go in and we correct that, and we make sure that that transaction, in fact, goes through. So this is the only Why Unilink slide. We talked about price performance. We talked about this being a custom EDI framework. We're not asking your trading partners or you to fit into our model. We are going to map your model and your process into the EDI transactions. Pay-as-you-go model, it generates real-time ROI, and of course, an impeccable service reputation. And yes, we're a very odd company because when you call, somebody actually answers the phone. And if not, there's no more than a 2-hour response time. And again, more often than not, we have already corrected the problem before you call. This is a pretty good diagram because it kind of summarizes the process. First of all, you would be at the top, Unilink customer, and we would connect you to our data center. And then we would work with your customers, your suppliers, any buying group. Keep in mind that we support all the protocols and all the formats. So whatever your customer or supplier uses, whatever you use is the format and the protocol that we will use in creating the map. So your POs, PO acknowledgements, advanced shipping notices, invoices, we would connect you to the data center, and then your customers and suppliers to the data center via our smart map technology, which oftentimes includes pretty sophisticated interfaces with APIs to bring information into the map so that the map can in fact perform to the specifications. We're connected to most big box stores, Amazon, Home Depot, CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, Target, and many others. The key to any EDI platform initiative is the adoption rate. It doesn't do you any good to have the best connection in the world between you and the data center if in fact you can't get the majority of your trading partners and customers to join the network. And so that's where our smart map technology comes into play. Our maps can be embedded with any business logic to incorporate any unique process that your trading partner may have. It includes implementing internal rules to meet their specific requirements, whether it be unit of measure, multiple ship tos, any type of conversion, any type of shipping requirements of defining a pallet, defining a partial shipment, whatever the criteria may be, that logic is built into our smart maps. Again, we don't ask your trading partner to go into their ERP system and make a change. I would say it almost never happens. And that's why we have such a high adoption rate. And again, some of these maps are very, very complex, requiring multiple calls to other databases to get real-time information that's required to complete that order or that response to that order. So what we get is improved automation and compliance using their existing systems, and we extend the functionality, and there's no additional cost. The maps are a fixed cost, and they've proven to be very successful through a lot of extremely complex deployments. We talked a little bit earlier about the portal. The portal is a key requirement, should be a key requirement to your criteria. It's your view into what's happening. You may be processing thousands of documents a day, and you only want to look at the exceptions or the summaries, or because of a particular question that one of your customers or trading partners may have, you may want to drill down. You may want to look at it. You may want to look at the code, or you may want to look at a human readable format. It's your choice. Again, I think the strength of the portal is the exception reporting criteria and notification, but you can sort that data any way that you wish to, by date range, by form, by customer, by trading partner, whatever information that you need at that particular time, and you can set up custom reporting on a weekly, monthly, daily basis, however it fits your requirements. So the portal and the technology for the portal is very important. This is just a couple of things I'd like to talk about, and that's value-added applications. I would say 80% of our transactions are part of the core four: purchase orders, PO acknowledgements, advanced shipping notice, and invoice. In the world of distribution, rebates is extremely important, and I'm sure your distributors would make that point with you. The analysis I've seen is a lot of times the difference between profit and loss is the ability for a distributor to properly request and accurately request rebates. Now, we do all of the other forms too. There's over 100 other forms. And we've come up with this rebate analyzer product so that we can automate the rebate forms to the manufacturer on a daily, weekly basis. And the response that comes back can go into a very sophisticated reporting structure so that they can see the disposition of those rebate requests. However, not necessarily for the manufacturer, because you're sitting on the other end of the rebate process. although you could use it also. But when we were at the last trade event, we had several manufacturers come up and talk about the fact that they're receiving multiple POs with the same PO number, with different elements, different quantities, and sifting through those when they happen is quite a problem. They have to manually go through and decipher the line by line, looking for those potential differences. It's employees that take time away from their standard role. It impacts job scheduling and inventory management, and oftentimes causes delays, incomplete orders, lost revenue, and sometimes lost business. So we've come up with a purchase order analyzer that should be in production soon. And that's where we will, if a PO number comes in that it is already been submitted, we will compare those POs and actually report the details of the differences in those POs. So it takes a lot of the complication and time out of the matching purchase orders, gives you the ability to set deadlines and cutoff dates and rejections based on rules set for each customer with automatic notifications. So it's a huge time saver. It certainly improves all of the costs associated downstream with having a manufacturer like I heard Walmart is probably the one that does it the most according to this set of manufacturers. And it can be, again, quite a problem. So I say that because I think there's a lot of importance associated with building some value-added applications and not just be a processor of forms back and forth. And that's the attitude that we take about working with our customers in this space. So we go across several of the Infor ERPs. Distribution was our first entry many years ago. We certainly have a lot of experience with Cloud Suite distribution and conversions from on-prem to the cloud. The same with Sightline. Sightline, we added to the family a 3 years ago, and having a great success in that space. And same thing with CSI, conversions to CSI, implementing on the CSI platform. And we are now in the XA space and the visual space, and we hope to do the research and implementation in M3 and LN also. So you can see we're staying in the Infor family, and there's starting to become a lot of similarities in the interfaces that we can leverage, and we look forward to opening up those new markets also. This just gives you an idea of what the growth has been like. A lot of companies were concerned when COVID first hit. Everybody took a deep breath. What's the effect going to be on my business? And we took that same deep breath. But it wasn't because we were worried about the business. It's because the business grew so fast that we had to keep up with it. And you can see that from a growth standpoint, we kind of have that hockey stick line over the 10-year period that we track this on. And I think that's a very envious position to be in for any company. So questions and feedback. Gosh, I'm right at 30 minutes, so that's good. So the question is, there's every project that I've been on over all these years, whether it be a technology or a manufacturing or whatever the project may be, you're always faced with the dilemma between time, cost, and quality. If you want it fast and you want high quality, it's going to cost more. If you want to lower the cost, but you want to keep the quality, it's going to take more time. This EDI implementation is one of the only initiatives I have seen over the years where you actually get all three. You save a tremendous amount of time, you significantly lower your cost, and improve your quality. So we're extremely confident in the business that we're in. We want all of our customers to be confident, as our customers are today, very confident in our ability for implementation. So with that, Sarah, I'll open this up for questions.
Thanks, Tony. We do have a question from one of our members asking, it's related to the cost that you're going through the breakdown. Is there a cost for map changes? The person says customers sometimes change their systems and requirements.
For their trading partners making changes?
Mm-hmm.
No, they're typically, there is not a cost. We have not run into one where there's been a cost, but if certainly if they change ERP systems, we'll have to remap that. But typically the changes that they're making are not significant, and I would say if not all the time, most of the time they do not require any additional cost. But they happen every day. I mean, when you have as many trading partners as we have on our network, it does happen.
Thanks for that. Another question that we have here is so how much does it cost, or how much investment do we need to put in before I see tangible results?
Well, that's the nice thing about the SaaS model. You have to look at your trading partners, the number of forms you want to implement, but you should see an immediate return if you spend $200 connecting a trading partner so that you can receive or send POs. Then in the full month that map is in production, depending upon the number of transactions, you should see the payback for that within 3 to 6 weeks. But it is dependent upon the number of transactions. If you're setting up a map with someone and you're seeing 5 transactions a month, then you're saving about $55. So it may take 4 months to pay the map back, but most of the time you're seeing more than 5 transactions for a trading partner.
And a follow-up question to that would be, how much time from the existing staff will it take to do this?
Well, I'm not going to say it's zero, because that wouldn't be correct. The first thing that we want to do on a project is connect you to our data center with each of the forms that you want to automate, which of the EDI forms that you want to automate. So we do have to collect some information. Then we go off and we do our thing. And then when we're ready to test the maps, we want to put together some test data and verify that your connection to our data center matches all of your requirements. Other than that, that's it. All we really want from you regarding your trading partners is a 2-paragraph letter saying that we are legitimately working on this project, and we need a contact information for that customer or that vendor. And then we contact them and we do all of the work on the trading partner side, which is really where the heavy lifting is.
Thank you. Let's see, another question would be, so what about business rules and exceptions that we're manually applying right now?
Well, we want to automate all of those. So if, we always, it's just an old saying, but if you can write it down and it makes sense to you, we can automate it. So our goal, of course, is to take away all of the manual intervention that's required, but to put all the stopgaps in place that you need and require for your business. But our intent is to automate any manual intervention that has to take place. Nice bark.
Others are working at home. So we have, just as a reminder to the folks listening in, you can submit additional questions in that little Q&A section right there. I do have another question for you, Tony. What's the success rate on getting customers and trading partners to onboard?
Well, it's not 100% because there are some that they either don't or can't participate. But I think our adoption rate is as high as it possibly can be because we'll take a PO on a spreadsheet or in an email. We'll take it any way they want to give it to us, and we'll deliver back to them the corresponding documents any way that they want to receive it. So we try to take away any of the barriers to entry that your trading partner may have. So they certainly have to be willing to participate. But if they're willing to participate, I don't know of a situation where it just hasn't been able to be completed. And again, that's the benefit of the way the smart maps are designed and the way our people are trained to take those requirements and to make sure that they are in fact included in the logic of the map and not create a barrier by asking a trading partner to make a change in their ERP system. That will slow down a project in the New York second. So we accommodate any of those changes that have to be made in the logic of the map.
Thank you. And I've got one more question for you. So if I'm on-prem now and thinking about moving to the cloud version, should I wait?
I would say no. There's no reason to wait. If you're on-prem today, we would still set up that data center connection with us. And then again, all of the work that's done out in the trading partner world, connecting them to our data center, none of that has to be redone. When you move to the cloud, we coordinate and we do have to remap whatever forms that you are transmitting back and forth. We have to remap you from on-prem to CSI. We do that at the time of cutover. Of course, all of that is pre-tested and usually cut over during the weekend, and you're up and running in the cloud. So I wouldn't wait because, like I said, the lion's share of the work is with your trading partners. And to get that behind you and certainly not have to focus on that if you try to do them at the same time. And you certainly don't want to delay in our model case, and your model is going to be different. It may be more than $500,000. And keep in mind, that's just for the POs. In this Forrester analysis that we reference, manual costs for orders is between, they say, $10 and $15. But the cost to manually process an invoice is 20% higher. The cost of producing an ASN or an acknowledgement is about the same. So if you think about the money you would save in the world of POs and you multiply that by 3 or 4, depending upon how many forms that you automate, you could be staring down a couple $1 million a year in bottom line savings. And that's a fairly conservative estimate on the numbers. So no, I would not wait. I would get that project started as soon as possible.
Great. Well, that looks like that's all the questions we have today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and say thank you, Tony. If folks have more questions, please feel free to drop us a note. Tony's email is there on your screen, and I'm going to go ahead and read it out just in case some folks can't see it. It's T Palermo, PALERMO @unilinkgroup.com.
And also, let me add too, it's really hard to exchange all the information that's required that goes into these decisions. We tried to hit all the high points today, but if you would like to do a little deeper dive, we call them discovery calls. If you want to bring somebody from your technical staff, if they're not on the call, or someone from your business financial staff that is not on the call, if you're a technical person that's on the call, we do these discovery calls. They last 45 minutes, and typically we get every detailed question, technical and business, answered during that period of time, and give you all the information you need to start processing your decision. So if you would like to set something like that up, again, just email me at tpalermo@unilinkgroup.com. You can go to the website and you could put a message in there that you'd like to have a discovery call, and we pick those off every day and can get back to you and arrange for that. But I really appreciate you taking time this afternoon. I hope I was able to shed some light on the subject, and again, we appreciate the time. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tony. And I'm going to wrap this up by saying thank you for joining us in the digital audience. This recording will be made available in the next couple of days and posted in the Sun Forum. Have a great day.